What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Legends of Tomorrow, Season 1, Episode 16, the season finale. Legend, wait for it. DARY. Legendary. I had to. I'm sorry. It's just, How I Met Your Mother's a great show. Go watch it right now if you haven't already. No, but this is the season finale, and pretty much exactly what I wanted out of a season finale, except for one thing. I'm going to talk about that first before I get to the rest of it, because the rest of it was amazing and awesome and just great. The ending. The ending fell into the stereotypical finale, just cliche, of let's have the final battle with about 15 minutes left, maybe 10. Let's have the final battle there, stop it, have it end, have the resolution, have a little bit of time after for a character, and then end on a, ooh, stay tuned for season 2 type thing. It didn't need it. This season was so good. You didn't have to do that little, oh, here's the cliffhanger, tune in to see what happens next. I don't need that for this show. I don't need that. It could have just been ended with them killing Vandal Savage finally, returning back, and then possibly have the thought of, maybe we can do this again sometime, or something like that. Maybe have it end with them about to board the ship, and we start season 2 with that scene of the guy shows up and is like, wait, don't go on the ship. But to end it that way, it felt forced. It felt like, it felt like they were trying to manipulate us to come back and watch season 2. And I don't need that from this show. And it kind of disappoints me a little bit because I thought this show was better than that. I thought this show was willing to take risks and do stuff that not many other shows would do. Instead, they give me a stereotypical cliche ending to a finale, which is stay tuned for next season to find out what happens. And, a lot of shows do have cliffhangers to set up for the next season. I understand that. But sometimes there's nothing. Sometimes the cliffhangers actually fit in with the show, and sometimes the show ends and you have a cliffhanger like this where the main battle for the entire season is over. It's done. It looks like things have gotten back to where they need to be. Things are all good. It's all good. We're fine. We're all happy. And then something happens, and now we're like, oh, now we got to find out what's going to happen next season. They didn't need to do that. They could have either ended on a cliffhanger where Vandal Savage maybe still is alive and doing something. That would have been bad. They needed to kill off Vandal Savage. But they could have just ended on, they kill him and leave the possibility for, we're doing this again next season. And that's all they would have had to do. I'm still interested enough to come watch. And if people have been watching the show, they would feel the same way. I'm very certain of it, because this is a very good show. It's very exciting, a lot of fun, serious when it needs to be, and has a great cast. Of course, we lost one of those great cast members last week, but still holds heavy in my heart. But anyway, aside from the ending, the rest of this episode was awesome. The final showdown with Vandal Savage, about as epic as you would expect it to be. I was really worried that we were just going to end up getting ultimately a Kendra versus Savage showdown, but we already got that in a past episode and she won easily. And because she's the only one that could kill him, I thought that's what we were going to get, and I was going to be slightly disappointed. But we find out that this meteorite that he's trying to blow up makes him mortal, which means all of them can kill him at these 3 separate points. So we've got Mick Rory and Ray Palmer working together to take him down. And we've got Sarah and Firestorm working together, and then we've got Rip and Carter going to save Kendra and stop him in 2021. And it's an epic showdown. You've got Mick Rory sitting there taking down the guy who ultimately is responsible for his partner's death. You've got Sarah, she's dealt with her bloodlust in the past, but now it's almost like this killing isn't an effect of her bloodlust. It's just what she has to do. And then, of course, you've got Carter, Rip, and Kendra, all with their own personal motivations to kill him. And I'll talk about that scene, because that one was the best of the 3. But, just from the beginning, the setup for it was brilliant. Just to have them all come back to 2016 and Rip just say, okay, I'm gonna find him on my own. You guys stay here. Nobody else is gonna die for me. I'm just like, wait, no, that's not gonna happen. Let's just go back. Let's just go back and take a second and say, okay, no, that's not how this is gonna end. And sure enough, it takes. I wish they would show how long that was in between whenever he left them and whenever they called him back, because as far as TV show time, it took like 3 minutes before they all decided, okay, we want to go back. I'm pretty sure it was longer than that because in the scene where Martin is talking to Clarissa and she's like, you have been nailing these ever since you got back from your sabbatical. It sounds like he's been back for maybe a few days at least. So I wish they would have been a bit more specific on that, but it was fun to see. McRory returns and is back to his old ways. Ray Palmer shows up to get him out of it. It was very sad to see Sarah come home and realize that Laurel's dead now. Um, and then, of course, you got Martin and Clarissa, which was kind of funny to hear him acing all of the history questions. She's like, how did you know? Um, so they ultimately call Rip Hunter back, which I think ultimately he wanted their help because the fact that he came back at all shows that I think deep down he wanted their help but didn't want to risk their lives. But the fact that they're willing to sacrifice themselves means that they want to help, and so he allows them to. Um, and from there, just progresses, finds out Vandal Savage's plan, finds out how to stop him, finds out their plan, and then from there you've got McRory kills him, which was awesome, by the way. Just watching McRory kick some ass. It's always brilliant. Um, but it's also kind of funny how it ends up being a 2v1 battle for each of them when you really think about it, but then something happens to sort of change the battle in each location. The first one, you've got the Hawk people because of the meteorite. So Ray now has to fight one of those. In the one with Sarah and Firestorm, there are people shooting at them, so Firestorm now has to go take them out. Which one of those guys in the background looked a bit like Vandal Savage, don't you think? Maybe just a little bit. Maybe it was just me, but it kind of looked like Vandal Savage to me. So he's fighting them while Sarah's fighting Vandal Savage. And then you've got Rip and Carter fighting Vandal Savage. But then they also release Kendra, who's now fighting him. And I can't remember who ends up getting the killing blow. I think it was Kendra. Ends up stabbing him, and then Rip comes up. And this delivery, this line was so brilliant. Because Vandal Savage is taunting him. He's like, you didn't arrive in time to save your wife and son. And he's just, throws him against this something on the roof. I don't know what it was, but whatever it is, huge electrical explosion. His life force gets released, and it's a huge explosion, just massive. And he's just like, don't you ever say their names again. And I'm just like, yes. It was such a great delivery, and part of the reason why I love Rip Hunter's character so much, because he just has these moments. I'm just like, he's a great character. I want to see him return. So at the end, whenever looks like he's sacrificing himself, I'm like, no, you can't kill him off. You've already killed off Snart, which was not okay. You can't kill off Rip Hunter too. I mean, that's just, he's the character that's going to hold this all together to make a season 2, which it was already confirmed at this point. And so I was like, they're not going to kill him off. And then the way that it ends up happening is very weird because we actually go back in time, and all of a sudden, the meteorite's gone, and the ship shows up, and I'm like, wait, how did that happen? Anyway. But yeah, it was still a really good episode, really enjoyable. There was something else, though, that I wanted to talk about. I can't remember what it is now. Dang it. I feel like it was a consistency thing. There was one thing that just stood out to me and bugged me. I don't remember what it was now. Oh well. Anyway. Yeah, very good episode. I can't think of much else to say besides that. aside from the ending, which felt forced to me, oh, here's season 2, the rest of it was really good. And final thoughts on the season as a whole, and like I said, if you were watching this show as it's going on, I'm fairly certain you would have been ready to watch season 2, even if they didn't throw that in at the end, because it was such a good season. You had a great cast of characters, you had a lot of emotion in it, especially killing off Carter in the second episode. I mean, that adds emotion to it. Now they're dealing with the death of one of their team members, and it's just throughout the entire thing, they had a really good plan for it. You know, they were jumping between times. Sometimes they got knocked out of time and into a timeline they didn't want to be in, but each time they were in a different time. I'm going to say time a lot, unfortunately. But each time it worked. It worked in the sense of the show, it worked in the sense of the storyline. The plot was very well worked. They were moving forward. It's like, okay, we can't kill him here, so let's go back in time. We can't kill him here, let's go back in time. Can't kill him here, let's go to a point when he is his most powerful but also most vulnerable. Just, it all worked out very well. And in the end, to have the Time Masters be kind of the bad guys helping Vandal Savage, and then they have to stop him, you know, by all working together in different timelines. It works out so perfectly, and they are now Legends of Tomorrow. And I love how they've done this season. I can't wait to see what they're going to do for season 2, because it's so well set up. You know, from here, it feels like you can do anything. And it kind of makes me wonder just a little bit. You know, obviously Vandal Savage is now stopped for good. But the question is, what is he now in the timeline? Because it's very, 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 very difficult to sort of comprehend this. But as far as our main character storylines, he's now gone and dead. But as far as the timeline as a whole, he's still working up until 2146, whenever he takes over the world. He's now dead there because they stopped him there. So yeah, now I'm just like, you can do a lot of clever things with this. And I believe they're going to, because they did so many clever things with this season. And as far as time travel, did so many clever things. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited to see where season 2 is going to go. Obviously, we do have a hint of where it's going. Kind of a Justice League, it seems like. The kid that shows up, I'm sure his name means something to the comic enthusiast, but I am not a comic enthusiast, so I don't know who he is, but he calls it the Justice Society of America. Sounds like the Justice League to me. But yeah, clearly something happens. Maybe we'll get to see some of it, maybe we'll get to see it unfold in front of us, and actually see what happens. There's a lot of questions that can be raised here. You know, I think the best example I can think of this is there's a game series, and I'm not going to spoil the name of it, because if I tell you the name of the game series, you'll know what happens. So basically what happens in this game is you're traveling through time, living through different timelines, and you're doing stuff in these certain timelines, and your main character can transfer his thoughts through these timelines. You find out at the end of this game that you have to actually travel back in time a lot farther to stop the world from ending, like 70 years ago, I think, something along those lines. So you have to go really far back in time and stop that from happening. But the thing is, if you really think about it, the timeline that you're in right now, the world's already ended. So to go back and stop that, it's like, what caused that? Because you don't really know. You don't know what caused the world to end. So what caused that? Are we going to get to see that at all? Or is it just going to be we're changing the world so that timeline never existed? The same thing applies here. This kid comes back in time, and now we know that whatever path they went on next causes them all to die, and this kid gets sent back to save the world. Or just not save the world, save them. So it's like, what caused that? Are we going to see that? Is that actually going to happen? Or are we going to get a different timeline and kind of get the story from this kid? Like, I want to know. So many questions. So little answers. Long story short, though, great first season, great finale, except for the end. And, yeah, the CW does a very good job with their shows, so I'm excited to see where season 2 is going to go. those are my thoughts in this episode. If there's anything you want to discuss with me that you didn't get to hear in this video, let me know in the comments. We can talk about it. And as always, leave a like and subscribe for future Legends of Tomorrow. See what I did? The future Legends of Time Travel. It's I'm sorry, my jokes are bad. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next season. Peace out.